the accountability, I think that also goes into your community. You know, when you surround yourself with people who believe in you sometimes more than you believe in yourself, and that
Right.
if you can just hold on to the fact that somebody else believes in me. And last year, I tossed something into the Boston River, which was doubt. And it wasn't doubt in myself, it was doubt that other people actually thought I could do this. And just I let that go and said, you know what? People, you put it out there. You claim a dream, a goal, a vision, and people will come. And so will all the answers of how to get it done. And that your tribe, and I decided to hitch my wagon with Dr. Smiley and
That's right.
so if you do 1 out of 10, or it's the whole point is that you made a choice to even have that list. So it's
Well, I'll tell you just the gym part. I drove to the gym the first day and it was closed. I didn't have money. And so I said, well, at least I drove here. Like I gave myself a little, but I knew that. And then I checked the time. You said you were writing your first book about your mom. I get choked up just thinking about that. So my first book was catalyzed because my mom passed of Alzheimer's. And when you said your mom had catalyzed the fact you wanted to write her memoir or her wisdom, and I was like, okay, this is very, very interesting. I want to pay attention. So I want to read this again to everyone that you just said. Carpe Diem Day is about taking advantage of every moment. It is about never taking life or love for granted, and about striving to fully experience and enjoy both the old and the new people and places in your life that are accessible to you today. Carpe Diem Day is about remembering those who have died, recognizing the fragility of life, and renewing our dedication to make every day special and positive. If that doesn't speak to the Keep Smiling movement, or Beth, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Dr. Smiley. How are you today?
Well, I'm great because I'm starting the year off with a seize the day mentality.
I love it. I want to hear more. What are you seizing?
Well, I'm seizing my health first, wealth right behind it, and quality of life right after that. So, and when I say right after that, I mean like almost consecutively.
Well, health is wealth, because if you don't have it, you can't have wealth.
So we have this new show, and I'm going to be introducing you to my audience. You're introducing me to yours, but we have a show called Seize the Day with a Smile, and so I'm very excited that you accepted the offer to co-host and share something I think is really important. I've always been a carpe diem mindset, but this has really been formalizing my actions and turning my life into a better life. So thank you.
I love it. I thank you for the opportunity. I think by doing this, it's made me think even more what Carpe Diem sees a day means. Because I used to always think, Carpe Diem, let's go get them. Let's like march in and conquer the day. And it's much more gentler than that. And so thank you for the opportunity to really like pull back the curtain and say, what is seize the day? What does it mean?
Well, I think it's like the polish on making your life better is the smile. Yeah, just
Absolutely.
it's welcoming. It's causing the right reception and perception of how you're being in the day with other people. Okay,
Excellent.
well, you're ladies first. So, Beth, why don't you take a minute and just share who you are, and the audience can learn.
I am Beth Robbins. I am the heart, soul, and creator of the Carpe Diem Seize the Day with a Smile movement. Woohoo! So that's books. We got 6 books. We got 5 children's books. We got a grown-up book. We got podcasts. We got shows. We've got all these things that are bringing together this movement. And my personal goal used to be 1 million souls for 2026, and I'm up in the ante. I'm pulling in the God-sized dream to 10 million. And you never know, in 3 months, it might be 100 million. We want to get this message out to people of what seizing the day with a smile means and how profound the impact can be and will be on your life and everybody that you touch. I mean, you get to choose today how you're going to seize the day. And you start with a smile. And even when you wake up and you don't feel like smiling, you put on that smile and you find that place deep in your soul where it comes from. And you can't help, I was driving in my car last night and I just said, let's smile. And I'm just driving down the street and I'm looking at people and I'm just smiling at them and they're like, okay, I don't care if you think I'm a cuckoo bird or not. It made me laugh inside. It made me feel good. And I'll tell you what, my night took a different turn, for sure, because I made that decision. It was a conscious decision.
That's cool. I was just thinking about you introducing yourself and the movement so quickly in the show, and that's one of the things that I think is the most powerful legacy and mark you can leave in life is that you create a movement of your mission and your vision. And since I've done it once, and I would say it's blown me away how big it's gotten. And on the other side, like you said, you want to. The person I met, Barry Shore, told me he wanted to reach 20 million. When I met him in 2015, I said, "Well, how many of you met reached so far?" And he said it was some crazy number, like I don't know, like a couple 100,000, maybe it was 400,000, something like that. And I said, "Okay." You said 20 million, and I said, "Well, when do you think you?" No, I'm sorry, he did say a million. He said a million. I said, "Well, how long did it take you to get to a million?" He says, "Well, it's 2015. I started in 1999, so 15 years." And I said, "And you wanted to get to 20 million by 2020?" And I said, "How?" And he says, "I don't know."
You don't need to know how.
You don't need to know. And
Yeah.
so this card is now safely at 4 million. And by the way, it's fine because those 4 million are happy. Those 4 million are
Right.
part of it. And it's the way you just put it actually was pretty cool. When you attract the right people, it changes the trajectory completely. If someone could reach a billion people, guess what? If you reach them, you just change your goal quite a bit. If they indeed wanted to help you with your movement, that would be just magnificent. I wanted to I want to say before I go that I always start off with gratitude. And
Mhm.
since we went to you first, but there is a nice link here, is that you were in a book called Cracking the Rich Code, Jim Britt, and you were the first one. And you just happened to be on a mastermind call, I guess, in December a year ago, not last year.
It was before December.
It was
So
before this. Okay.
yeah, it was like October, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And you and want to be on a Dr. Smiley show. I mean, a show that I was conceiving while I was on this thing. And here it is. And I said, wow, that's amazing what you want to talk about. And then we started just drifting off into the possibility of books. And then I said, hey, can we have another conversation? And he said, gladly. And we did. So um, we were just on the mastermind call. And it was kind of cool how much has happened in a year. And if you seize the day on a regular basis, i.e., daily, you won't recognize yourself a year later in
Absolutely.
in a
I
good
say,
way.
yeah, you need a telescope
Yeah.
to like who was that lady like a year ago? You know, and I always share, Ken, that when I woke up on New Year's Day 2025, nowhere in my resolution list was being an author on
Right.
there. I had written a book, but I wrote it for, personal reasons. And my God, we had 7 books this year in 2025. So it's just making that decision, and then you don't have to know how. You just have to know the why and the what. That's really all it is. And when you get so caught up in the how that you get frozen and you don't take any action steps at all. It's like, I have no idea. How am I going to write 7 books? I don't know. Doesn't matter. I just know I want to, and I know why. I want to leave that legacy. I want to create this movement. I want to impact the world. I mean, that's a big why, right?
It is. Well, I will say, I'll give a little hint to people as to how you do 7 books in one year.
Okay, tell the secret.
Well, there's 3 secrets. Number one is it needs to be that important to you.
Mhm.
And number two, you have to have the right people around you that cheer you on and that provide the talent. And the third is the accountability piece is that there just needs to be a check in to see that the pace is happening. And pretty much happens by itself at that point.
Yeah, I like the accountability. I think that also goes into your community. When you surround yourself with people who believe in you sometimes more than you believe in yourself, and that
Right.
if you can just hold on to the fact that somebody else believes in me. And last year I tossed something into the Boston River, which was doubt. And it wasn't doubt in myself, it was doubt that other people actually thought I could do this. And just I let that go and said, you know what? People, you put it out there. You claim a dream, a goal, a vision, and people will come. And so will all the answers of how to get it done. and that your tribe, and I decided to hitch my wagon with Dr. Smiley and Perfect Publishing, and look at this.
Well, when you say you did 7 books, you did one for your mom, you
Hmm.
did one for, well, the keynote was the last one you did. Then you did the 5 books that were the children's books with the series, which is to your my left on the screen, and to the right are the actual books. Yes, but the series logo, and
Yes,
so those are the next ones, and then so that's 7, right?
that's 7.
But I would I would somewhat argue the point that
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah, the reason I want to bring this up is because in a way this is your movement. Um, it's seizing the birthday, and it's every day as a birthday if you look at celebrating someone else. So these are, and look, today is the second. So Eric, and then we have Ruben. So these are all people that are in your community right now in that book. But that book is an event, it's a community, it's a movement. And if you start putting them all together, the variables turn into like a glue and an engine.
Yeah, and it's also part of celebrating the
Yeah.
fact that you are here, and seizing the day is okay, you're here. What are you going to do with that? Let's celebrate your birthday. Let's celebrate you with seizing the day.
Well,
What's
I'm going
what's
to introduce myself briefly because we're all going
new?
to, the audience is going to learn about each of us as we go. But in a nutshell, I love to attract people that play big, and Beth is certainly one person that I hook onto, but also I say I want to pull up more because the visions I have, marketing wise and impact wise, which is just such an important word, impact. I just I relish in the fact that you can disrupt the world in a very good way and cause people to really step into their power. And there's so many people that don't even know how powerful they are. And I think when I work with people like you, we're having those people awakened. And awakened is a really big gift for a person. And then coaching is obviously a big gift, and direction and knowledge. So that's what this show is going to be the mission of. Is we have 3 missions here, right? One mission is to inspire. Another mission is to educate, and a third is to invite into the possibility of being part of the movement.
Beautiful,
So you
beautiful.
gave me some advice that I asked you for a 10-day to get kind of in the mindset. And I'll be very vulnerable and very clear. I did not pass. I did not even come close to passing. But what I did is I didn't give up, and I did very well on certain days. I didn't do so well on other days, but I just kept starting and stepping into it again. I will say on the second day of January, Happy New Year. This is my second day of being 100% integral with the program. So that part I can tell you. But I can tell you the last 14 days or so is there were hiccups, and I actually had to scratch my head and say, "Are you really serious about this?" I think there's times when you have to make the bumps happen to say, ask that question, "Are you serious?"
Yes, and you also have to offer yourself grace and understanding, and not every day is going to be perfect, but
Yeah.
every day is a restart. So you get to wake up every day and go, today's a brand new baby day. I'm going to seize the day, and I'm going to look at that daggum list that she sent me. Let's see, which one am I going to do? You don't have to do them all. You get to do them. You get to make
Exactly.
the choice, right? So if you do 1 out of 10, or it's the whole point is that you made a choice to even have that list. So is
Well, I'll tell you just the gym part. I drove the gym the first day and it was closed. I didn't have money. And so I said, well, at least I drove here. Like I gave myself a little, but I knew that. And then I checked the time and I said, I won't make that mistake again. But it's 24 hours, but you can be clocked out of a gym that you have no membership to.
oh, there's that. Yes. Yeah.
So last year I spent 7 months at this membership without going. I should say, I spent money, not spent time. And so I wanted to see if I could go for a week or two, and then I was going to pay for a very large portion of the year to say, yeah, I'm in. Because you just have to pay monthly, but if you do pay ahead, I thought it was the way
Oh,
of, that
bigger
was like
commitment.
you got to do it,
So one little tweak on that, you drove to the gym,
right?
you walked up to the door, and the door doesn't open, it's closed. So you have two choices. Walk back to your car, get in and drive home and go, oh, well, didn't get it to happen. Or you can look around and say, wow, I've never been to this part of town before. I got my tennis shoes on, set my timer, 30 to 45 minutes. I get to go for a walk. That's the amount of time you were going to spend at the gym, and you still got to move your body.
Well, I guess my memory was off. It was locked. I did tell the truth about that. I went back to my car and I contemplated driving home and I thought about it. And I did not do that part. But I said, there are cars in this parking lot. Someone's got to be leaving at some point. I'm just going to grab the door when they leave. And so that's what I ended up doing.
Okay. Well,
So
there you
I got in. So my first day I was successful in getting in the gym. I remembered ironically the part where I couldn't get in.
Well, so you went in. Okay.
I did. So we have this big event. Well, actually, Seize the Day. Where did that come from?
So it started by the friends and family of Yvette Francino. So they were honoring her. You remember the Ice Bucket Challenge back
Mhm.
in 2014, I think it was, and it was for ALS.
Mhm.
And she went so all in with it. She raised $12,000 that her friends and family nicknamed her the Carpe Diem Superwoman. And so it was friends and family of her that decided to make February 26th National Carpe Diem Day. And it's in the National Museum of Archives or whatever, wherever those days get put. And it was really inspired. She was inspired by Craig Donahue, that or Dunham was his name, who was diagnosed in 2008. That's where the whole Ice Bucket Challenge came from. And the inspiration behind it is don't put off today, till tomorrow, what the things that you love, the things that
Mhm.
you love to do, the people that you love. And, we don't know how much time we have. And so that's really what inspired her to, all of a sudden we wait for the diagnosis or the crisis in our life to start living, to start seizing the day. And I think, and for me, that is the heart of my message is don't wait for that. Choose today. Don't wait for someday. It's today. Today is Carpe Diem Day. And we'll honor it nationally on February 26th. But that's where it really started from was be present and be present with the people that you're present with and sees every day. Don't wait for that diagnosis.
Since that's so important, I anybody can look this up. It's National Day Archives. You can also read how did Carpe Diem Day come about. I actually want to read it again because the one thing you and I have dramatically in common, which was for me kind of a God thing that I'm supposed to know you or I'm supposed to really be present to how I could either serve, support, or find out why you're in my life, was when you said you were writing your first book about your mom. I get choked up just thinking about that. So my first book was catalyzed because my mom passed of Alzheimer's, and when you said your mom had catalyzed the fact you wanted to write her memoir or her wisdom, and I was like, okay, this is very very interesting. I want to pay attention. So I want to read this again to everyone that you just said. Carpe Diem Day is about taking advantage of every moment. It is about never taking life or love for granted, and about striving to fully experience and enjoy both the old and the new people and places in your life that are accessible to you today. Carpe Diem Day is about remembering those who have died, recognizing the fragility of life, and renewing our dedication to make every day special and positive. If that doesn't speak to the Keep Smiling movement or what you're creating with your movement or what anyone would want to do with their life, I don't know a better way. I mean, that paragraph is so powerful. And
It is a powerful.
I know
Yeah.
that I know you surmised it beautifully, but I want people to hear it, how important every one of those words are. Just like every single second is important, every minute is important. And
Yes.
I wasn't planning on doing this, but I think there's a big shift people can make to really enjoy life. And it's move from, I don't want to use the word apathy, but let's just say I don't care to I care.
Okay.
Because when you care, all of a sudden everything is important. And you want to choose what's important, the most important to actually embrace and add into your life. But today we're going to talk about just one thing, that one thing you can add, and that one thing you may be able to remove. So removing something could be painful, but it also could be an anchor that is lifted off, taken off you. So you have an event coming up where you're going to go have lots and lots of speakers. I mean, 24 hours of speakers. Starting at 12 o'clock at night. You're going to be I mean, I don't know whether we're doing Eastern or Pacific, but assume we're doing Eastern, it'll be 9 p.m. your time. And since it is a global, I will request, but it doesn't have to, this is your show, it's your day, but I'll request it's Eastern because we have the European countries this way, and then we have countries that way. So I found the Eastern works on a 24-hour clock pretty well. So if you're down with that, at
Now,
9 p.m. and midnight, we will open the day up and we'll pass the baton. Well, actually, you may do your actual seeds today at that point,
yeah,
and then we pass the baton around and see how many countries are seizing the day. And carpe diem.
here we go.
And by the way, that's it. A watch and a band. And my watch today says I seize the day a little bit at least. I have when you actually care, you start measuring how well you're doing. So I'm at 2.17 miles today, which
Wow.
not too bad for a guy who probably was averaging a half mile before.
That makes me really, really happy. You made the choice to get up and move.
I did. Yeah. And we're going to, and by the way, every episode you listen to, you're going to get a different facet of how it can be part of your life. And who knows, it might be best ninth book.
Oh, it could be.
It could be. Hey, and if you want to be part of a book and you've never been part of a book before, this would be a good excuse to be at the event because everyone that's at Seize the Day event, you can actually upgrade and move from speaking to actually having transcription and turn into a chapter if you wish. But we just want to hear your voice or we want to just make your life better. So today we're going to pick the letter A.
Okay. I love
Letter
the
A.
letter A.
Letter
And
A.
I want to say, I love this that we're going to drop something and add something
Yeah.
because this is the law of the universe. When you eliminate something out of your life, toxic people, toxic behavior, bad habits, the universe loves a vacuum. And
Yeah.
you need to say, well, okay, now I've got this hole where something used to be. What am I going to fill it with? So I think that's really a great message going into 2026 that you drop something, you got to put something in there.
Another, and that's exactly the way to look at it, but another way to look at it is if you're in business and you have a lot of people working with you for you, and you have a big team, there's always a bottom of the team, there's always a top of the team. And I remember my DJ company every year, about a week ago, not in the beginning of the year, but at the beginning of January, we looked at how we were dropping our bottom 10%.
Mm,
And we didn't do it in a mean way. We didn't say, hey, Johnny, we're not going to be working with you next year. We just wouldn't call them anymore. We just decided they're not going to be called for any opportunities, period. And so what we did was our attempt was to hire at the top and remove the bottom. So we were actually moving 2 levels up.
mhm.
And I was just thinking while I was in the sauna, like, am I doing that with my phone? Like if you have contacts in your phone, if they're dead weight in your phone, you can remove the bottom and add people at the top. And so I found that when I started removing people in the bottom, people that just don't respond to text, they don't respond to anything, they're taking time, they're taking energy from you. And I actually went to a couple people. I said, hey, can you introduce me to the most powerful person you know that could be part of the acronemathon or Seize the Day or Black History Month? I said, and it was amazing. They did. And what I thought of is that person could be 1,000 people. It could be 10,000 people, the way they have that kind of impact. So,
Right.
so when we say letter A, we say add one, drop one, it is the part you're talking about where now there's an open vacuum for you to fit something else in your life. And that is true because if you grab an alcoholic beverage and you drink it, that might not be serving you. But if you don't drink it, you would still need to take a drink.
Mm.
So talk about alcohol. Why is that such a great thing to drop?
Well, it's not serving you.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about, healthy habits. Why do we drink alcohol? Well, some people love the taste. I do. I love the taste of a glass of wine here and there, maybe a glass of champagne to celebrate. But we have to really look at what is it doing, the impact on our body. And there's so much research now that it's a lot more negative than it is positive. And if you're really choosing to make some big strides in your health, um, the things that aren't serving you, need to go, and or at least fade from bang 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 to not so much.
Hmm.
We look at, your metabolism, it's sugar, and most people drink at night and then you go to bed. Well, your sleep gets impacted. You get
Hmm.
dehydrated. Your liver now has to work extra hard while you're trying to sleep, and it's supposed to be regenerating and restoring. And now it's trying to break down the alcohols, and which it's sugars, and which sugar gets stored as fat. Sugar is our number one enemy, when we look at cancer prevention. So, um, is alcohol horrible and bad? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if we're looking at one thing and we're on the letter A today, alcohol is a great thing to drop for a host of reasons.
If you, I mean, I know people that are in their 80s that have a glass of scotch at night, and they have it at 5, maybe they don't do it at night at 9, but they have their daily Manhattan or a scotch, or maybe it's a glass of wine. How does that play?
You
Is it
know,
just a moderation situation?
always. I'm a big fan of moderation. If that's like your daily habit and you've made it to your 80s, I'm not going to tell you that, well, it's going to shorten your life, right? Like, who am I? But, I think you really need to take a step back and look at your why.
Mm-hmm.
Is this just a habit? I come home from work and I pour myself a scotch because that's what I do after I take off I think about, Mr. Rogers, and he puts on the sweater and that's his routine. And people, get caught up in that habit. Or is it really you need to just wind down from a crazy day? Or is it you're craving the flavor of scotch at the end of the day? Like, what is your why? Why do
Mm-hmm.
you have that? Why is that part of your routine? And then really evaluate it. Do I need it? Do I need to have that scotch? Is there something I could have that would taste even better, that would actually have a positive impact on my health and my sleep for that night? Maybe that's a better option.
Okay, so let's talk about those crazy Frenchies. My last name's French. I'm allowed to say crazy Frenchies. They drink wine and they have their kids partake in it sometimes at age even 10 or whatever. Um, and they seem to imply that wine is good for you. What saith you that?
Well, saith me is that resveratrol is one of the properties of wine, and I will say that in Europe, I'm not in the wine business, but we have additives in our country, sulfurs and
Yeah.
things like that, so that makes it even worse. And I've had lots of wine in France and Spain and Italy, and did not get intoxicated.
Mm.
So I think, there's I think it's different. I don't know because I'm not in the wine business, but um, they're what they say about giving it to children. I think that's their choice. I'm not here to tell people how to feed and nourish your family. It's probably not a choice I would make, but I think that when I had young adults, we made alcohol not a big deal in our home. So if you made it as a mystery drink or something like that, we educated our kids what is alcohol and what does it taste like. And I think if I had one of my kids taste a glass of red wine, it was usually, oh, that's awful. Okay, well, mystery solved. Now you don't need to go out with your friends and try it, on your own. So how they raise their kids, I don't know. I don't think alcohol is the evil, but I think it's if we're looking again at something that we could limit or drop, that's a good start.
Yes, and to your point, the tannins are what
The
seem to
tannin,
cause. Yeah, they seem to cause some problems over there. And the tannins are a powder that they get from the grapes, skins, etc. And like you, I've had wine in Europe and I've had wine here. Wine in Europe, no problem,
yeah,
and it's clean.
yeah,
Yeah. So here we drink a ton of wine, but we pay the price.
yes. Yeah. For me, I mean, I think a shift in my age, I metabolize alcohol way differently than I did when I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s.
Hmm. So I am. I'm gonna I'm already noticing that when I think it's only been 3 days, but no alcohol for 3 days, clarity, energy. And I'm not substituting with sugar. I was told by a very smart guy, honestly, he's very smart. He said, hey, to get yourself off the alcohol, have candy bars handy and stuff because it'll make you free. I know I'm talking about from a standpoint of having you forget about the sugar that you're
Okay.
missing. So he wasn't saying that it's good for you diet wise. He was saying to get you off the alcohol. So anyway, I am not doing the sugar as the replacement. I'm now let's talk about what we add. So
Yes.
I have been adding this very tasteless liquid, H2O. I mix just one hydrogen with two oxygen. Okay. It's stage two. That would be bad. I'd do two hydrogen, one oxygen. So,
Okay. At first, I thought you said Heineken. I was like, wait,
well, I will tell you of all the beers, not that it tastes my favorite, but I do like holding it the Heine part. So it just says Ken beer.
and beer. Okay.
So, water, filtered water at night before I go to bed, I drink like two gigantic glasses of it. And that's my habit. Is that a good idea or not?
It depends on your nighttime habits. I wouldn't drink 2 glasses of water before I went to bed because I'm going to wake up,
Yeah, I do.
and that's probably it.
But I
I
do pair that with the fact I had two beers earlier. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but
So
since I'm not having
you're
beers, I got to
balancing out.
yeah. So I haven't been drinking the water in the last 3 days like I normally do. I usually have the beers and I have a bunch of water to kind of clean my system.
Okay. I love how your thought process goes with that. I say like 70 ounces of water throughout the day.
Yeah.
I think I maybe have a glass after dinner because I'm doing all my evening supplements. But in the spirit of I love adaptogens. And I can't think of single thing wrong with them. Adaptogens coming in different kinds of mushrooms. And if you were going to add an I would get a hold of a really good adaptogen. It's called like golden milk. And it's
Hmm.
like a tea. The main ingredient is turmeric, which is anti-inflammatory. Wonderful thing. Spicy with cinnamons and
And
cardamoms and
ginger. Oof.
ginger, yeah, and I love it. Like if you make a hot tea,
Yeah.
especially after dinner, and it's satiating. And for me, I find it's really great when you're thinking like, oh, what else do I want to eat? Like you've just had this full dinner and you've got that sugar craving, like, oh, I just need that sweet thing. There's something with cinnamon, which is great for regulating your blood sugar, but adding cinnamon into this golden milk tea with full of adaptogens. And then you've got your body fueled for sleep, restorative sleep, where your body goes to work. Like, okay, let's repair what you messed up during the day yesterday, and so that when you wake up, you're not only refreshed, you're nourished, and I think that's great. And then as far as water goes, first thing in the morning, you wake up dehydrated,
Hmm.
and I love a quarter teaspoon of Celtic salt in that water because now I'm remineralizing my body. And so I have the adaptogens at night and then that water with the salt in the morning. Fabulous cocktail,
Man, this is like it's like a book in the making here. So
right?
turmeric, I love with ginger
Hmm.
and like cayenne pepper.
Oh yeah, but kind of I wouldn't do that at night before you go to bed.
Not at night because that wakes everything up a little too much.
Yeah, I put that in my adaptogen coffee in the morning. But
So
cinnamon's the C you want to. We'll have save that for C day, but adaptogens.
all
So
right,
drop the alcohol and the adaptogens.
so we're going to get a little more elementary because adaptogen is like a 25-cent word. I think you'll all agree. So if you went to like an elementary word, apricot, apricot juice, is that a, you'd have to be careful because then they add so much sugars to those juices.
Sugars, yeah. Juice, I mean, we've talked about juicing, we're putting mostly vegetables in that,
Hmm.
that are, and these are cruciferous vegetables. They're full of fiber, like, spinach and broccoli and olive. Those are my two favorites. But it's green, right? And a lot of people don't like the taste. Lemon is a wonderful friend, lemons and limes. And you could take like fruit, chop them up, and put them in like a big container of water that you chill in your refrigerator. And then it's got some zip in it, it's got some taste. So you can also add sparkling water to it.
If you wanted to get silly, you could get carrot juice and just scratch off the C so it's carrot juice. That way you'd have an A.
Carrots. Yeah. Arrowroot. Well, no, that wouldn't be a very good juice, but
Avocado juice, not so much, right?
I don't know that I've never juiced an avocado.
But I will tell you, avocado oil is really good.
Avocado, everything is good. It's so good for your brain.
Yeah,
So good. Like, an avocado a day would be my go for it. Really healthy fats.
that's good. All right. So we did a good job adding one, taking one away. And every single day that we do this, we will add an element of something you can add and something you can take away. That way it keeps it simple.
Simple is good.
So we this is the seize the day with a smile, because that's
Yes.
the way you're healthiest is when you're giving your body all the lovely chemicals that your brain produces when you're happy.
Which are dopamine, oxytocin,
Oxytocin, serotonin,
serotonin, and
and
epinephrine,
endorphins.
or endorphins. So you saw my favorite place with the cold plunge. We add the norepinephrine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are going to talk about saunas and cold plunging in a future event, as well as breathing. So there's all kinds. So don't hold your breath, but breathe until we do.
Yes.
All right. So this is Dr. Smiley,
And Beth Robbins.
and we are wishing you a day in which you seize it with a smile.